In a recent interview, Grant Gustin, the Flash himself from the CW and the Arrowverse, opens up about the death of the Arrowverse and saying goodbye to it. So I like for once that I actually watched this interview while it was happening. So I was at the gym, it was like 9 in the morning, and I saw that there was a interview happening with somebody that looked like Grant Gustin. Now mind you, I say looked like him because he had a goatee and he looked like some sort of evil Terran Empire version of Grant. So I quickly just shouted over to the guy. I was like, hey, turn the volume up so I can hear this. So I was able to watch the entire thing, which was kind of nice. And I just want to say Grant Gustin is a complete class act. So anything I might say about the Arrowverse being bad, nothing against any of the actors, from Stephen Amell to Melissa to Grant. Absolutely think that they present themselves in a public spotlight in such a great way, you cannot hate them. And he talked a little bit about how it's kind of bittersweet and how he realizes that the Arrowverse began with Arrow and it's ending with Flash. The Flash is sort of the goodbye to everything that they built up. He reflects on what they were able to do, how far the DC universe on the CW came, all the crossover events that got a lot of buzz and everything. And I was just sitting there captivated. I didn't realize that this 10-minute interview went by in the 10 minutes that I was watching it. You know, like I would just sit there and be like, okay, get my set in, listening. Okay, sit up and watch. And it was so great just to see him be so appreciative and talk about the great times. And that's what I want to talk about here. The Arrowverse, like it or not, and certainly I like half of it, I hate half of it, was a special time for DC fans. You had the DCEU over here, and then you had the Arrowverse. And they were doing so much right, and they were getting so much goodwill and funding, and the budgets were high. And they were expanding the DC universe, and the DCEU was using them as a test bed. Hey, put some mentions of the Squad in there. If they like it, we'll see what happens. They do it, and they do it great, and then they rip it away from them. Countless times, with Deathstroke, with tons of other things. They were unfortunately kneecapped by the higher-ups, and I hate that. But I'm so grateful to see that everybody had a great time, seems to have no ill will, and especially somebody like Grant, who came in, and there was a lot of doubt whether they could pull it off. And they did. And he did great. I thought his Flash just got better as it went. And despite me falling off after the 4th season, I've looked at some of the stuff. Seems interesting enough, but I'll always look back at that first 4 years of the Arrowverse and just remember about the good times and the chatter and the buzz and how much hype there was. And then I'll remember them from giving me my favorite live action Superman with Superman and Lois. And that's not part of the Arrowverse. And that's fine, but it spins off of that. And that made that possible. So, honestly, it was just nice to see this interview and nice to reflect back on all those good times we had here on the show, on the channel, and just with friends talking about it, the theories and everything. It was certainly a great time to be a DC fan in those early couple of years.